Welcome to Evidence Mastery. Today we're diving into a really game-changing book for anyone in healthcare, Real-World Evidence, Principles and Practice by Masood Tusi. We're going to be taking a close look at Chapter 3 to see exactly how this incredible tool is reshaping medicine, like right now. So let's get into it. Okay, so before we go any further, let's make sure we're all on the same page. Real-World Evidence, or RWE. What is it, really? Well, it's the clinical insight we get when we analyze real-world data. Things like electronic health records, insurance claims, data from patient registries. It's not here to replace clinical trials. Not at all. Think of it more like a crucial partner that shows us what happens outside the perfect conditions of a lab, in the messy, unpredictable world of actual patient care. All right, here's our game plan for today. We're going to start in the world of pharma. Then we'll jump over to medical devices, and then we'll tackle the super important role of payers. After that, we'll get into the exciting stuff, public health and AI, and finally see how it all comes together right there in the hospital. Let's dive in. So our first stop, the pharmaceutical industry. And this is a big one, because in this space, RW has really grown up. It's gone from being this kind of helpful extra to a core driver of, well, pretty much everything. From the moment a drug is just an idea, all the way to monitoring its safety years later. RWE really touches every single stage of a drug's life. It helps scientists find new targets for drugs by sifting through massive data sets, like the UK Biobank. It helps researchers design smarter, more efficient clinical trials. And of course, long after a drug is approved, RWE is absolutely essential for monitoring safety out in the real world. And that brings us to a huge, huge challenge, especially in areas like oncology. Just imagine for a second, you've got a drug that could work for a cancer so incredibly rare that you just can't find enough patients to run a standard traditional clinical trial. So what do? How do you prove your new drug actually works? Well, this is where RWE offers a truly groundbreaking solution. And here is that solution in action. This is a big deal. For the cancer drug pembrolizumab, researchers created what's called a synthetic control arm using historical patient data. They effectively looked back in time using old records to build a comparison group. This let them prove the drug's effectiveness without needing a live placebo group. I mean, this was a landmark approval that basically created a whole new path forward for countless other treatments for rare diseases. Okay, let's shift gears now and talk about medical devices. If RWE is shaking up the slow, methodical world of drug development, just imagine its impact on the fast-paced, constantly changing world of medical devices. It's a field with its own unique set of challenges, and honestly, RWE is a perfect fit. I mean, just think about the core differences for a second. A drug's formula is fixed, right? It's stable. But a medical device, say a hip implant, that can change with small, iterative updates year after year. Plus, a device's success can depend heavily on the skill of the surgeon putting it in. All of this makes running those big traditional clinical trials incredibly difficult, if not downright impossible. So, this very challenge led to new ways of thinking, like the IDLR framework, which builds evidence generation into the entire device lifecycle, from start to finish. And the key takeaway here is that the long-term study, using registries to track performance, isn't just an afterthought. No, it's a planned, absolutely essential step to see how a device truly performs over many years in the real world. And here is exactly why that matters so much. A Dutch national registry was just doing its job, tracking outcomes for joint replacements. And it quickly picked up a worrying signal. One specific type of hip cup was failing at double the expected rate. This real-world data, this RWE, led to a rapid recall, protecting thousands of future patients. This is RWE acting as a public safety net. It's incredible. So, we've talked about safety and we've talked about effectiveness. But there's another critical question that always comes up. Is a new treatment actually worth the cost? This is where payers and health technology assessment bodies come in. They're the groups that evaluate the value of new treatments. And believe me, they rely heavily on RWE. RWE is all about bridging the gap between the clean, controlled world of a clinical trial and the messy reality of healthcare. It lets payers swap out assumptions in their economic models for real data on how patients actually use a drug. It helps confirm that cutting-edge therapies like CAR-T really deliver that long-term value. It can even support performance-based contracts, where payment is tied directly to how well patients do. Let's move now to two of the fastest-moving fields in all of healthcare, public health and artificial intelligence. In both of these areas, RWE provides the speed and the real-world context you need to be effective and to be equitable. I mean, these are two of the biggest questions of our time, aren't they? When a pandemic hits, you simply can't wait years for trial results. And as we roll out AI in medicine, how do we make absolutely sure it doesn't just amplify existing biases and make health inequities even worse? So let's start with equity. 40%, I just want you to let that number sink in. That's how much less likely Black patients with heart failure were to receive guideline-recommended medications compared to white patients. And that's even after accounting for things like insurance. This wasn't a theory, it was a cold, hard fact uncovered by RWE, and it demanded immediate action. Now look at how this exact same problem can play out in AI. An algorithm that was designed to predict health needs was found to be racially biased. And why? Because it used a patient's past medical costs as a stand-in, a proxy for their health needs. But since Black patients have historically had less access to care, and therefore lower costs, the algorithm systematically flagged them as being healthier than they actually were. And here's the beautiful part. RWE wasn't just a tool that found the problem, it was also the solution. By retraining the algorithm on actual clinical data, lab results, vital signs, instead of financial data, researchers fixed the bias. This just perfectly shows RWE's role as a vital, crucial auditor for fairness in our technology. All right, so from that huge population-level view, let's zoom all the way down to the front lines of care, the individual hospital. Here, RWE is evolving from something used for simple reports into an active, dynamic tool for improving care every single day. Take sepsis, for example, a really life-threatening condition. By analyzing their own electronic health record data, one hospital system found that a delay of more than 3 hours in giving antibiotics was linked to a stunning 33% increase in the risk of death. That single piece of RWE generated from their own patients led to a system-wide overhaul of their sepsis protocol. It literally saved lives. Now, a transformation like that doesn't just happen overnight. It's a journey, a data maturity journey, as this model shows. Hospitals usually start at stage 1, with data stuck in silos used for basic reports. Then they move up, integrating data to compare treatments, then linking to outside data for prediction, all leading to that final stage. Stage 4, the ultimate goal, the learning health system. This is the holy grail, really. This is where evidence isn't something you just look up in a journal. It's being generated constantly from your own patient care and fed right back to clinicians in real time through alerts and decision support, creating this amazing continuous loop of improvement. So we've seen how RWE is transforming everything, from how we develop drugs to how we deliver care in a hospital. But, using this power effectively and, more importantly, ethically is absolutely critical. So what does the path forward look like? Well, it really rests on 3 core commitments. First, we need methodological rigor to make sure the evidence we're generating is trustworthy. Second, we need close collaboration with regulators like the FDA and EMA who are creating clear rules of the road. And third, and this is maybe the most important, we need ethical stewardship, a deep commitment to using this data in a way that protects patient privacy, promotes equity, and maintains public trust. Look, real-world evidence is no longer just on the horizon, it is woven into the very fabric of modern healthcare. The challenge for all of us is to harness its incredible potential wisely. If you want to explore all of these topics in much, much greater detail, the book we've been walking through today, Real-World Evidence, Principles and Practice by Masood Tousi, is available now on Amazon.com. Thanks for joining me.